We're going to begin by defining what case management is. Case management is the process you will use to move your participants towards self-sufficiency, or for your purposes, your program outcomes. So you've got outcome and you've got process. And you're responsible for process that's going to move participants with intention towards self-sufficiency. Now, here's what I think is important to remember. Although we don't control outcomes, we can control process. Our participants are responsible for outcomes. We are responsible for process. What our process ought to do is influence outcomes. You control the process. There's not very much you do control. You don't control the rules and regulations. You don't control who shows up at your door, but you have absolute control over the process you're going to use to influence the outcomes. So let's look at what that process should include. It should be participant-centered rather than program-centered. What do we mean by that? Well, we focus on the participants we have, not the ones we wish we had. So we start with, if you've got youth or dislocated workers or TANF or whatever you've got, you start with who you've got, not who you wish you had. And then you build the program around them. Second point, that participants are capable of taking more control of their lives. They are capable of making decisions, solving problems, finding resources, setting goals. So you won't do for them what they can and should do for themselves. And in subsequent lessons, we will talk about how to get them to take more control over their lives. They are bringing strengths and resources with them and not just weaknesses and barriers. Too often our programs are barrier obsessed. Person walks in the door and we say, tell me about all your barriers, and then we say, make sure you didn't forget this barrier, you've got another barrier. I've often wondered what that does to people. If they came in thinking they could do this, and by the time we get through listing all their barriers, they think to themselves, there's no point in trying, I've got too much stuff standing in my way. So effective case management, yes, identifies weaknesses and barriers, but also focuses first on the strengths and resources people are bringing with them. Fourth point, this is going to be a partnership between you and the participant. Each of you is bringing different skills, strengths, resources. We're going to combine your skills, strengths, and resources with theirs to make a partnership so that they are actively engaged in the process. Let's look at point number 5. Effective case management actively engages participants in all phases of the process. What does the process look like? It begins with assessment. We're going to talk about that. It moves to planning, then to problem solving, then to finding resources so that the participant is actively engaged and not just a passive recipient of our services. Finally, that participants are responsible for the outcomes. You are responsible for the process. Although we are held responsible for outcomes, it is the one thing we don't control. We're going to use our process then to get to the outcomes. Welcome to Case Management. We look forward to providing you with tools and strategies you can use to make your process outcome directed.